So think about this for a second. What if your brain isn't just, this passive sponge absorbing reality, but it's actually a highly customizable search engine?
Right.
And what if manifestation, which, let's be honest, is a concept that has been totally dismissed for decades as just mystical woo-woo, is actually just the biological process of typing in the right keywords?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the neurological data points exactly to that reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we are taking concepts that have been passed down for centuries, right, through philosophy and spiritual traditions.
Mhm.
And we are finally looking at them through the lens of modern brain imaging and neurochemistry.
Which is just wild to think about.
Totally wild, because we aren't talking about bending the universe to your will using invisible magic.
Right.
We are talking about fundamentally, physically reshaping the neural pathways inside your own skull.
Okay, and that is exactly our mission for today's deep dive. We've got this massive stack of sources to go through.
Lots of dense reading.
Oh yeah, spanning from really academic neuroscience and cognitive psychology to the actual underlying mechanics of your morning and evening routines. Because we want to decode the actual hard science behind manifestation. So if you're the kind of learner who loves a good aha moment,
The best kind.
and you constantly look to connect the dots between how we think and how the physical world actually works, the shift happening in this space right now is just massive.
It really changes everything.
Exactly. It takes the whole conversation from, I hope the universe hands me a promotion, to I am going to actively rewire my brain's architecture to secure this promotion.
Right.
So, okay, let's unpack this. How does a thought, which feels entirely weightless and, well, invisible,
Sure.
how does that actually change what we physically experience in our environment?
So to understand that, we have to start with the default mode network, or the DMN.
The DMN.
Okay. Think of the brain as this relentless, highly advanced prediction machine.
Like it's always running in the background.
Exactly. It is constantly running, simulating potential future outcomes based on the data of your past experiences.
Oh, I see.
It's always asking you, what is most likely to happen next? So when you actively daydream or visualize a specific goal, the DMN lights up.
Okay.
And here is where the biology gets just incredible. The brain actually does not cleanly differentiate between an event that is really happening and an event that is vividly imagined.
Wait. I want to make sure I'm fully grasping that.
Yeah,
You're saying the physical hardware of the brain treats an imaginary scenario as an actual data point.
yes, exactly. So let's do a quick experiment.
Okay, I'm ready.
If you close your eyes right now and you vividly imagine slicing a bright yellow lemon,
Mm-hmm.
like you can smell the citrus, and you just bite directly into the sour flesh.
Oh, man, my mouth is literally watering just thinking about that.
See? Right there. Your salivary glands don't know the lemon isn't real.
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
They're just responding to the signals your brain is sending based on that vividly imagined stimulus.
That is wild.
So when you consistently visualize an outcome, say, succeeding in a really difficult presentation or hitting a financial goal, the DMN processes that imagined future as an actual memory.
So it thinks it already happened.
Practically, yeah.
Yeah.
It begins to expect that outcome, and it strengthens the neural pathways associated with that specific scenario.
That lemon example is such an aha moment for me. So the DMN is like our internal simulator running the software of our expectations.
Perfect way to put it.
But how does that internal software change how we interact with the physical world? Because realistically, we are bombarded with what? Millions of bits of sensory data every single second.
Oh, absolutely millions.
Like I am not consciously aware of the hum of my refrigerator or even the feeling of the socks on my feet until I actively think about them.
Right, which brings us perfectly to the reticular activating system.
The RAS.
The RAS, exactly. It's this little bundle of nerves sitting right at the base of your brainstem. And neuroscientists describe this as your reality filter.
So it's blocking stuff out?
Exactly. If you didn't have the RAS, your brain would just instantly short-circuit from sensory overload.
Oh, wow.
It filters out something like 99% of the world and only lets into your conscious awareness what it deems important for your survival, or, crucially, what aligns with your established beliefs.
Oh. This is the classic red car effect from the sources, isn't it?
Yes. You decide you want to buy a red car.
And suddenly you see them literally everywhere on the highway.
Right. They were always there, obviously.
Yeah.
But your RAS was previously filtering them out as just irrelevant noise.
Wow.
Once you set a clear intention, your RAS recalibrates. It starts scanning your environment for anything that matches that new internal model.
I have to push back here for just a second, though.
Go for it.
Because I know someone listening is wondering the exact same thing right now.
Sure.
If I just think about a promotion at work, my brain doesn't magically create an opportunity out of thin air, right? Like, my boss's decisions aren't controlled by my reticular activating system.
Obviously not, no.
So is the RAS basically like a VIP bouncer at a crowded nightclub?
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Like, the bouncer is standing at the velvet rope, completely ignoring the thousands of people out on the street and only opening the door for the specific opportunities, cues, and conversations that are on the VIP guest list I just handed him.
It functions exactly like a bouncer, yes, but with one really crucial difference.
What's that?
This bouncer doesn't just stand at the door. He actually goes out into the crowd and highlights the VIPs in neon lights, so your conscious mind can't possibly miss them.
Oh, man, that is so cool.
Right. You aren't manifesting the promotion out of thin air, the networking event, the offhand comment from a colleague, the subtle shift in your industry's market.
Those are the people milling around outside the club.
Exactly. They exist entirely independently of you. But manifestation, scientifically speaking, is just mental selective attention.
Mental selective attention. I love that.
Your RAS finally has the instructions to notice them. You begin acting on opportunities that were always present, but were previously being actively hidden from your conscious mind by your own brain.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though.
Yeah.
If the RAS is just this highly efficient filter, how do we actively program it? Because I can't just casually think, I'd like to be wealthy today, and expect the bouncer to instantly update the VIP list.
No, definitely not.
That requires a fundamental shift in the brain's chemistry, doesn't it?
It does. It requires neuroplasticity, which is just the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout your life.
Right.
Repeated visualizations and targeted affirmations, they don't just put you in a good mood, they physically change the brain's architecture.
Sure, physically. That is the key word.
Exactly. When you practice mental rehearsal, you're repeatedly firing specific neural circuits. You know the old neuroscience adage, right?
Neurons that fire together wire together.
You got it. You are literally thickening the neural pathways in your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that governs self-belief and executive function.
And while you are building up the prefrontal cortex, you are simultaneously quieting down the amygdala, right? That was in the research, too.
Precisely. The amygdala is your brain's alarm system.
The fight or flight thing.
Yeah, it handles all the fear and threat responses. So by repeatedly exposing your brain to a successful positive outcome through visualization,
you are essentially engaging in exposure therapy for your goal.
that's a brilliant way to phrase it.
Yeah.
Yes. You are reducing the amygdala's fear response to the unknown,
Wow.
meaning you are building a brain that is far more capable of handling the pressure of success rather than self-sabotaging out of some subconscious fear.
This maps so perfectly onto the concept of mirror neurons.
Oh, the mirror neurons are huge here.
Yeah, discovered back in the 1990s, right? These cells are just fascinating. They fire both when you perform an action yourself and when you just watch someone else do it.
Right, it's the biological basis for empathy.
Exactly. But the research shows that visualizing your own success triggers these exact same mirror neurons. It feels like a mental flight simulator for the brain.
Yes.
Like, elite athletes do this, don't they? They run the entire Olympic race in their minds so their brain feels like it has already won before the starting gun even fires.
They absolutely do. It operates very much like a flight simulator, but with an added biological incentive, which is dopamine.
Ah, dopamine, the reward chemical.
Well, see, we generally misunderstand dopamine. Pop culture frames it exactly like that, as the reward chemical. You know, the hit of pleasure you get when you eat a piece of cake or check off a to-do list.
Right, getting a bunch of likes on an Instagram post.
Exactly. But in neurobiology, dopamine is actually the molecule of anticipation and motivation.
Anticipation.
Yeah, it surges most powerfully when you anticipate a reward, not just when you actually receive it.
Wait. So if dopamine spikes strictly from the anticipation of success, does that mean getting genuinely, deeply excited about our goals in the present moment is literally the neurochemical fuel that compels us to physically act on them?
That is exactly the mechanism. It creates this powerful, self-sustaining feedback loop.
Oh, wow.
When you vividly visualize your goal, you trigger a dopamine release. That dopamine doesn't just make you feel happy. It severely sharpens your focus and boosts your motivation to take real-world action.
And then that action leads to incremental success,
which reinforces the underlying belief.
which makes the next visualization even stronger.
Exactly. It's a loop.
And this right here is why the research universally agrees that just, monotone, robotic repetition of affirmations is utterly useless.
Completely useless.
Like if you are just staring at yourself in the bathroom mirror, deadpanning, I am successful, I am wealthy, I'm confident, nothing is happening neurologically.
Nothing happens because you are missing the neurochemical catalyst.
The emotion.
Without genuine emotion, there is no dopamine spike. The emotion is the biochemical signal telling your brain, hey, this information is vital to our survival and success. Encode this.
If you don't feel it, the brain doesn't wire it.
Exactly right.
Okay, so we have the core mechanics on the table now. We understand the prediction machine, the neon light bouncer, and the dopamine feedback loop.
Yep.
But all of this research points to a very specific variable that dictates just how effective this neuroplasticity can be.
Timing.
Timing, exactly. When we attempt to program, the brain matters immensely. So let's look at the science of the morning routines.
Yeah, the human brain does not maintain a steady chemical state throughout the day. It operates on a really strict timetable governed by our circadian rhythms.
Okay.
When we wake up, particularly between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 a.m., our bodies experience what is called the cortisol awakening response.
So cortisol, the stress hormone, spikes.
Right. It naturally peaks to bring us out of sleep and into a state of high alertness.
I loved how one of the cognitive psychology papers described the morning brain. They called it a freshly tilled garden.
That's a great visual.
Yeah, like the soil is turned over, it is nutrient-rich, and it is perfectly primed for planting new seeds of thought before the chaos of the day stomps all over it. And the research specifically leans into morning meditation here, because sitting down in that early window creates a surge in alpha brainwaves in the prefrontal cortex.
Right, and alpha waves act as the bridge between the conscious and subconscious mind. They're the signature of relaxed, receptive awareness.
Wow.
There is actually a landmark Harvard study showing that just 8 weeks of daily morning meditation physically increases the density of gray matter in the areas of the brain responsible for emotional regulation, memory, and learning.
So you aren't just calming down, you are adding physical tissue to the parts of the brain that keep you grounded under pressure.
Literally growing the brain, yes.
The research also highlights the mechanics of controlled breathing right at dawn. Taking deep, mindful breaths physically stimulates the vagus nerve.
Oh, the vagus nerve is so important. If we look closely at it, its role is just profound. It's the information superhighway connecting your brain to your gut, heart, and lungs.
Right.
When you stimulate it through slow, diaphragmatic breathing, you are manually flipping a switch in your autonomic nervous system.
Flipping it from what to what?
You pull yourself out of the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight-or-flight stress mode,
Okay.
and you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. And in that parasympathetic state, your brain is vastly more receptive to intentional programming.
So if you are listening to this and thinking, I do not have time to sit on a cushion for an hour every morning, the good news is the science says you absolutely don't have to.
No, not at all.
The recommended neuro routine is incredibly brief. Wake up, do a 3-minute breathing exercise to stimulate that vagus nerve, and then spend 5 minutes just mindfully observing your thoughts or visualizing your day.
That's it, 8 minutes total.
But I have to play the skeptic for a second because I am not naturally a morning person.
Fair enough.
Let's say my alarm goes off. I hit the snooze button 3 times,
Typical.
pull the covers over my head, finally grumble my way to the coffee maker, and immediately open my phone to look at work emails.
Oh, no.
Am I actively planting weeds in my freshly tilled garden?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of neuroplasticity, unfortunately, yes, you really are.
I knew it.
Because you are setting the neurological baseline for your entire day. Those early waking hours offer a golden window where your brain is highly malleable.
Right.
When you wake up and immediately flood your system with stress hormones from an overflowing inbox, you are actively training your DMN, your prediction machine, to expect a day of putting out fires.
You are programming your brain for reactivity.
Exactly. It's the difference between writing the script for your day versus just reading the panic lines someone else hands you.
Man, that hits hard.
Utilizing that peak neuroplasticity window for journaling, visualization, or even just quiet intention setting allows you to choose your cognitive posture. You are actively commanding your RAS on what to look for, rather than letting the external environment dictate your focus.
Wow. So if the morning is this active state of planting seeds while the brain is alert and fertile, what happens at the other extreme of the day?
The evening.
Yeah. The research takes us from the high energy cortisol peak of the morning into the late evening, where the brain's critical defenses are at their absolute lowest.
This brings us to the hypnagogic state.
The hypnagogic state sounds very sci-fi.
It really does. It is that twilight window, usually 30 to 60 minutes right before you drift off to sleep.
Okay.
During this time, your brain is essentially powering down. It transitions out of the fast, active beta waves of normal waking consciousness, drops down into the slower alpha waves, and eventually hits theta waves.
And theta waves are the really deep ones.
Yeah, they are deeply associated with subconscious programming and creativity.
Right. And the studies showed that information absorbed in this specific hypnagogic window has the strongest, most lasting impact on your underlying belief system.
Exactly.
Which brings us to a really fascinating technique that bridges the gap between old school metaphysics and modern sleep science. It's called the Neville Goddard lullaby method.
Yes. Neville Goddard.
Yeah, he was a very influential thinker in the mid-20th century, and his method completely flips the idea of manifestation on its head.
It's so counterintuitive, but brilliant.
Right. Instead of forcing your tired brain to construct some elaborate, high-definition, cinematic visualization of your goal, you just choose one short, fulfilled phrase.
It's simple.
Something incredibly simple like, "Isn't it wonderful?" or "It is done."
The brilliance of the technique really lies in its neurobiological efficiency. You repeat that phrase gently and rhythmically as you drift off.
Just whispering it in your mind.
Yeah, you aren't forcing the visual at all. You're just letting the words act as a carrier wave for the physiological feeling of relief and completion.
Wow.
The research also mentioned a parallel visual trick from Villa Kalima.
Oh, drawing a quick sketch right before bed.
Exactly. Even just stick figures representing your goal.
Really? Stick figures work.
They absolutely do, because the image-making centers of the brain are highly active as we approach sleep, and giving them a rough visual anchor assists deeply in the subconscious integration process.
So what does this all mean? The contrast between the intense focus of the morning and the complete surrender of the evening is striking.
It's a powerful combination.
Is the lullaby method basically like sneaking a Trojan horse past the conscious mind?
Oh, that's good.
Like you wait until the active, critical part of your brain is totally exhausted, and then you just whisper the password directly into the subconscious.
I'd look at it more like an administrative override, but yeah. The lullaby method works precisely because the onset of sleep takes your critical faculty offline.
The critical faculty is the part that argues with you.
Right. When you are wide awake in beta brainwaves, your conscious mind will argue with your intentions. If you say, "I am a successful business owner," your conscious mind immediately counters with, "No, you aren't. Look at this month's revenue."
Look at your bank account, buddy.
Exactly. But in the hypnagogic theta state, that analytical resistance doesn't exist.
It's asleep.
Right. You aren't chanting mechanically from a place of desperation. You are softly impressing your subconscious with the absolute assumption of success while the guard is asleep.
That is such an elegant way to use the brain's own daily power down sequence to install new software.
It's biological hacking, really.
Okay, so for the listener who is ready to pull all of this science out of the theoretical realm and actually use it,
Let's do it.
the data ultimately builds toward a rigorous 5-step, scientifically backed practice. Let's summarize how to actually execute this.
Sounds good. Step 1 is clarity.
Right. First, you have to set a clear, unambiguous intention. Ambiguity weakens the neural signaling. Your RAS bouncer needs to know exactly what the VIP looks like.
Can't tell them to look for some guy.
Exactly. Second, visualize the outcome vividly in the first person. Don't watch yourself on a movie screen. Feel yourself inside the moment so you activate those mirror neurons and trick the DMN.
You have to be in the driver's seat.
Third, repeat your affirmations with genuine emotion. The dopamine anticipation loop only fires if you actually feel the excitement.
No robotic bathroom mirror mantras.
Exactly. Fourth, and this is critical, take micro actions.
Yes?
If your thoughts say, "I am successful," but your physical actions remain entirely stagnant, the brain experiences intense cognitive dissonance. The brain hates when thoughts and actions don't align.
It creates a lot of stress.
Right. You have to take small steps in the real world to prove to your nervous system that this new reality is actually happening.
And step 5.
Fifth, track your evidence. Celebrate the small wins, write them down, and use them to keep that dopamine motivation loop going strong.
Looking at that whole process, what becomes abundantly clear is that the philosophical debate surrounding manifestation doesn't actually matter.
Really? How so?
Well, whether you believe that the universe is responding to your energetic vibrations, or you believe you are strictly neurochemically rewiring your prefrontal cortex to seize environmental opportunities, the physical outcome is identical.
Wow. That's a great point.
Manifestation, when stripped of the jargon and the mysticism, is simply a highly practical, incredibly effective brain training tool for targeted neuroplasticity.
It flawlessly bridges the gap between intention and biology, which leaves us with a final thought to really chew on today.
What's that?
Well, if neuroscience proves that our brains are constantly rewiring themselves based on what we focus on,
Which they are.
if we are always utilizing neuroplasticity whether we intend to or not, what are you accidentally manifesting right now?
Oh, wow.
Right. Think about your everyday complaints, your passive doom scrolling, the frustrations you allow to loop endlessly in your head.
Yeah, that's heavy.
If your brain is a relentless prediction machine constantly using today's data to anticipate tomorrow, what kind of future are you currently training it to expect?
That is a phenomenal question.
It is definitely something to sit with as you navigate the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration, and we can't wait to dive deep with you again next time.